Welcome back, not really Lego builders or Minecrafters, because today we are building a Tesla coil. So welcome back electricians or builders, I guess. Anyway, a Tesla coil, for those of you who do not know, looks like this. So yes, it is named after a person who lived a couple hundred years ago, I think. His name was Nikola Tesla. He invented the Tesla coil, and yes, the car company Tesla is named after him as well. So this is a little bit of an oddball. We're not doing Lego or Minecraft today. So it's a little bit of a different project, and it should be a lot of fun. I should probably give a little bit of info. A Tesla coil outputs a very high volt, but for a very short amount of time. And so when you turn it on, it's going to look a little bit something like this. Although the parts that I have here that I got off of Amazon are not going to build the Tesla coils that you see in the photos. It is going to be a lot smaller. So you may be wondering why I decided to do this build, and I actually decided to do it because I've always been intrigued in like electronics and that, but this Tesla coil can actually produce music. So you can make songs with a Tesla coil, and you may have seen a couple of videos on YouTube of like people doing songs with Tesla coils. So it should be a lot of fun. And another reason is that my channel name, Gigahertz Productions, is actually almost directly related to a Tesla coil, because the frequency of electricity with a Tesla coil is measured in hertz, or gigahertz. So I guess let's move these pictures out of the way and open up this box. It should hopefully have all the parts that I need. Again, I just got this off of Amazon for really cheap. Oh, and actually that reminds me, not only am I going to be building this Tesla coil, this is just Mark 1. So after this, I'm going to try and build a much bigger and better version. And that is a reason why I started my Patreon server. So if you'd like to support me, head over to patreon.com/gigahertz. You can support me there, and then hopefully I can get the parts for a much bigger Tesla coil, as it is a lot more expensive. So if we open this up, we should have a bunch of capacitors, a bunch of copper wiring, and it looks like instructions and a couple of our output jacks here, so then we can plug it into a phone or computer to hopefully play music on it. So yeah, it is going to be quite small. There aren't that many parts at all. But before we start building, I have something really cool to show you. So to give you guys a little bit of background information, I am currently at my grandparents' farm. In fact, you can see the tractor right over there. But what I wanted to show you is something really cool that my grandpa built. It is a smart car that was transformed into a snowmobile. So I mean, how crazy is that? My grandpa, he took off the wheels of the smart car and then replaced it with treads and skis in the front. You can see them right over there. But since it is summer right now, there are currently wheels on the front. So I thought this was just a super cool build that he did, and I would like to show it off to you guys. And it's just really insane. I've only seen it driven once in the snow, but apparently it's actually quite good in the snow, as it also provides heat in the cabin. So it's not like a snowmobile where you're out in the wind and you get all frozen in the face, but there's a nice hot cabin as well. So it's quite a funny and cute little build, and I just think it's absolutely amazing. Man, that thing is so cool. So back to the Tesla coil build. I have laid out all of the parts for the Tesla coil, and to be honest, I'm actually a little bit disappointed. I would have absolutely loved to do a little bit of soldering, since I do have a solder here, but it appears that this kit already came with all of the components soldered on. So I'm not sure if you can see that, but basically all the little parts where you see the metal sticking out, that is where it was soldered on. And sadly, we don't get to do any soldering. So it looks like for today, we will be just using a screwdriver. This is, as I mentioned before, Mark 1 of this project. This is just the very bare bones of it, just to get a general idea of how everything's gonna work, and just to kind of see it on a really small scale. Now, another thing that's a little bit annoying with this kit is it doesn't have any instructions whatsoever. I just have a couple of pictures to go off on. So you can see the end result here. And in fact, this Tesla coil is so small, it doesn't even have a top ring. So it just has this center tube, and it will hopefully still work fine. But as I said before, it is going to be really, really small. And in the picture, when you see an arc like this, or what the lightning is, that's what it's called, an arc. This would probably be like a 20-foot arc, I think, or somewhere around there. But I'm pretty sure that a small Tesla coil like this will just put out a very, very small arc. So probably just a couple of inches or centimeters. So as for the construction of this thing, it seems pretty simple. The fan goes in there with the rest of the cooling mechanism. And then this circuit board will go on the underneath side of that. And then this will go on top of the circuit board, and then finally this will screw into this, and then we can put in the arc generator, or basically just a couple of copper wires that stick out, so then there's an arc. So we have all the parts, we have all the screws and bolts, so let's hit a build montage. So here is the completed build, and you guys might see it is fairly small. There's my hand next to it. And actually, if you look at the bigger version of the Tesla coil, you can see it's actually fairly similar. So going up and down the center part, we have the coil of wires just like we have here. But then, unlike the big one, the small one here doesn't have this basically donut at the top. But otherwise, the idea is essentially the same, just a lot smaller. So if we look at the side here, we have the power input, and then I think this is for, it's basically like a headphone jack. So this should hopefully play music. And then we have the big red button, so we'll be pushing that when it's ready to go. So this thing is actually kind of fancy. It came with a switch as well. So we'll see if I miscalculated or put it on wrong, and we'll see if it short circuits. But let's turn it on for the first time. So switch on and big red button. Well, a light turned on, at least. So I turned off the lights, but as of right now, I can't see an arc at all. I can feel the fan running, so at least that's going, and there is a blue light on. So I guess we'll do a couple of experiments and see what is wrong with this build. So we did a little bit of testing, and it seems that this thing just needs a little bit of a kickstart. So if we take a screwdriver and put it right near where the arc is gonna be, it should light up. It worked before, so hopefully it works again. And there it goes, and you can see a small little arc there, so it's actually quite cool. It's basically like reverse lightning that is being produced. So zooming in here, you should be able to see that little arc, and you can see when the screwdriver comes close, it like attracts to it, and then you can see the lightning connecting with the screwdriver, and it is pretty cool to watch. Okay, so I moved you guys just a little bit closer, so hopefully you guys can see the arc. So let's turn it on again. It is kind of annoying that there is a blue light down there because you can't see the arc quite as well. It does seem a little bit strange to me that it would need a screwdriver to start it, but at the same time it makes sense. The lightning needs somewhere to go. The electricity needs to create a current. So if we just spark it once again, hopefully you guys can see that a lot better than before. So I can try and zoom in here so you guys can see that. And with the screwdriver, you can see that the arc is jumping over to the screwdriver to try and complete that circuit. And honestly, this is just really cool and really fun to play with. So it is basically this picture with all that lightning on it, except for just really, really small. I think we should do a little bit of testing. And the first thing that comes to mind with testing is burning stuff. So we're gonna see if this arc can burn this piece of paper. The answer is yes. So I did go over this a couple times with my finger, and I did see that it was quite hot. So basically what this is a miniature candle, or an electrical candle. So it just, instead of a flame that's burning, it has an electrical output that has this cool little lightning spark instead. So I'm gonna wait until it gets dark to hopefully show you guys this arc a little bit better, but I think it's on to the next test. We should see if this thing can actually produce some musical outputs, or tones. Okay, so I've attached up the other side of this headphone jack to my computer, so I guess let's plug the other side right into the Tesla coil, and I guess let's turn it on. Okay, that's a little bit weird. I was totally taken by surprise there. I can hear like the electrical signal inside of my headphones, so I'm like hearing a very small zapping noise, and I thought like my headphones were zapping me or something. And it just turned on, so I'm a little bit confused at the moment. Okay, so what I think you're hearing right now is just a little bit of feedback, but if it starts playing, you can actually hear Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and it's playing through that electricity. So it is pretty terrible quality, but it works, surprisingly. So I suppose this is just kind of a def tone, and this is basically like a white screen, like what you would see on your TV with all like the flashing black and white on an old TV. So it's basically static. Okay, so we've done some final testing and a little bit more playing around, and I think I've got a general grasp of it and figured out what the heck is happening. So if we first turn on the Tesla coil with that blue light, you'll be able to hear that small hum of the fan in the background. And then if we spark it with the screwdriver, then you'll see that what I like to call is a static spark. So basically that spark isn't doing anything except for producing light, and it's staying pretty still or static. And hopefully I can get the camera to actually focus on that point. So now with the headphone jack plugged into the Tesla coil and my computer, we can switch it over to a music mode, or where it actually puts out a musical tone. So if I plug it into my computer, then you'll see that sound starts to come out of the Tesla coil. So you'll be able to hear that more musical tone or static, and actually for some reason with it being plugged into my computer, it messes with my recording. So now we're just going off the microphone on my phone instead of the big Yeti microphone I have here. So this is the musical tone it's outputting. You can see all of the basically small lightning trying to go outwards, and it has these kind of three prongs that are sticking out of the tip of the Tesla coil. So finally here, for our very last song, we are gonna be playing Jojo Gervani. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. I might get blown up in the comments, but that song from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, most of you should probably recognize it, so let's play that song. So that was the theme song, albeit with a little bit of static in the background, so it was a little bit poor quality, but you could still hear the music, and in my books, that was an absolute win. So I think this Tesla coil would be a lot better if it spaced out in between, so whenever there wasn't a note playing, it wouldn't be playing that weird and kind of awful static. And that would have made this music and whatever it's playing a lot better, because then you'd be able to hear each note individually and the music would be a lot cleaner and without all that static in between. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this Tesla coil build. If you did, please leave a like on the video. If you're not subscribed, make sure you do that before you go. And with that said, Gigahertz Productions out.